the moment. And here we go as we jump into the live position. Last move, knight a3 from Aravindh, bringing his knight back to the side of the board rather than towards the center. And now Grischuk here thinking about how to react. Now I think if white is allowed, his next move might be bishop from the back rank, capturing that knight in the corner. And so it's up to him to decide, does he want to move that knight away or just let white take?
Oh, and he does move the knight away, preventing this bishop from doubling those pawns with that trade. And now we have almost full development by Aravindh, developing his bishop and soon castling.
And now which way is he going to castle? He's going to go to the right, to the king side, or left?
What's your prediction?
I think king side. I think this is a king side
I'm going to go queen side.
Knowing Aravindh, I think he wants to, his heart is telling him to castle queen side, but his brain might be saying to go king side. And rook e8 from Grischuk. He brings his rook to the center, indicating that he would love to break with his next move using his king pawn. He's going to advance that pawn, break in the center, and try to fight for equality with the black pieces.
I'm getting excited because if Aravindh gets that castles along there, it would be absolutely thematic and wild of a choice. And he's just saying to his opponent, look, I just want to attack you.
Yeah, he's thinking about it. I wonder if he wants to play bishop to the center now. I think he might be thinking about moving his bishop in to stop Grischuk from being able to advance with the center pawn.
Yeah, Aravindh still making that decision here. He's taking a 30, 45-second turn now, still trying to map out if castling is the right choice. And he does. He castles short.
Does castle king side. Yeah, it keeps it simple. By the way, we can see at the bottom of the screen the heart rate for both players. A cool 83 beats per minute for Aravindh. Grischuk all the way up to 100. So Aravindh, he's got that zen. He's like very, very calm right now. And we do see these trades in the center. Honestly, I like black's position. I think he's equalizing quite comfortably here.
Yeah, and now the white pieces need something to show for and play this move pawn to c4, attacking that center. And this pawn cannot take this pawn because the queen is hanging on the d8 square, which means that Grischuk has to play his queen.
Now, I got to mention, funny story. I actually played Aravindh a couple of weeks ago at an over-the-board Blitz event, and he actually played the same opening that he's playing today, but with reverse colors. He played it from the black side.
And how did that game go?
Funny you should ask, Zach. I made a small mistake, and I was basically lost after 6 moves. It wasn't a small move. It was a blunder. It was a straight up blunder. He beat me in 6 moves. I'm not that bad to lose to these guys in 6 moves, but that was a very, very quick win. So I know from firsthand experience just how fast Aravindh is and how he can just pounce on these tactical mistakes.
Yes, and what do we have here now? We have some batteries going on. So the queen and rook colliding on a file. That's called a battery, and then we have one battery for each side. One on the E file, one on the D file.
Bishop f5 there. Grischuk completing his development. He's ready to get the rook into the game. The only piece I don't like here from either player is this knight on the edge of the board from Aravindh. Now, he knows what he's doing. At some point, he is going to get this knight back into the game. Chess players, we hate having our pieces on the side of the board. So for sure, he is going to fix his knight. But right now, I'm expecting a move from the rook on white's queen side. The rook from A1. Maybe it just goes to C1, goes to the C file, which might open soon. No, he takes on D5. And Grischuk looks up a bit. He's a bit surprised by this move. Rook takes. Queen gets out of the way. And now I think black doubles on the D file. I don't think he wants to just trade. Especially the classic players. They love doubling rooks on the D file.
And maybe more than that, now Aravindh can bring his knight to the center. It's been on the square A3 for so long now.
Yeah.
He can maybe gravitate towards the center.
It's time, Aravindh. You got to bring that knight back in the game.
He does.
There he goes.
There you go.
Absolute time. And now we have a bit of a standoff in the center of the board. Neither side wants to trade these rooks, even though they can both capture. But maybe we'll see Grischuk trading both rooks off right now. Rook takes D1, followed by the second rook takes D1. Position simplifies. Very, very equal game, I think, for this first round. That's got to be in Grischuk's favor. He's playing with the black pieces. Next game, he'll have white, and he can try and win.
Yeah, Aravindh maybe not getting the aggressive opening that he wanted, and now has kind of a tame game in this middle game. But Grischuk is the one, I believe, calling a little bit of the shots with this pressure down the D file with those rooks staring down the board on Aravindh's rook pair. So we'll see how he gets this done.
Meanwhile, we have literal fireworks going on the stage next to us. I think that's Rocket League. That's also starting their tournament today. So they are starting off their event. These guys, though, they seem totally unfazed. They are not aware at all of what's happening around them. They are only looking at the board. And look at the times. You know, the times, they still got 6 minutes, plenty of time, but without any increment, Zach, as you mentioned, it's going to come down to, you know, we started with rapid. The players, we have their rapid ratings up. Now it's going into a blitz game, and then eventually it will go down to a bullet scramble.
Yeah, they're really neck and neck on this time control thing. They both have 6 minutes left on their clock, and Grischuk just played the best move, bishop e4, lining up the bishop around the white king. This could be interesting here.
I like this move. We might see the queen transferring over to the queen side, over to the g file, try to threaten mates against that g2 pawn. It also strengthens black's center. I think if I had to take a side, I maybe even slightly prefer black's position, but I think it's very, very equal still. And especially as the time goes down, this game can easily go either way.
Yeah, we have this interesting trade-off. Aravind's knight, the white knight, is centralized and strong, whereas Grischuk's knight is a bit passive and towards his own lines, whereas Grischuk's bishop is staring down the board, has a really nice axe around the king, around the queen side of the white pieces, whereas Aravind's bishop is quite tame and passive. So we have this nice contrast here. A3 is played?
A3, that's a move that suggests that Aravindh not really sure what to do. He just calmly improves his position on the queen side. Maybe he wants to advance his b pawn to follow up, but he's not really showing a very aggressive play right now. But again, as the time ticks down, the game is going to explode. And I think Aravindh, you know, he's probably the one that's maybe a touch more confident with the mouse, especially in a bullet time scramble. He's very, very fast. Though we should say their blitz ratings, though, actually favor Grischuk. Grischuk has the higher blitz rating of the two, which might be surprising, but again, this guy has been playing blitz virtually his whole life. He's basically made for this moment.
Yeah, Grischuk is 48th in the world global rankings on chess.com blitz, which is so impressive. H5 here, bringing out the flank pawns. What does this tell you, Kostya?
Well, he's gaining some space on the king side. Sometimes this looks like an aggressive attacking move, but it can also just be a positional move. I think if allowed, he wants to push that pawn a further square to h4, fix the white structure. Then the queen comes into g5, attacking g2. And then we see the first trade of the rooks. Rook takes d5, played by Aravindh. Grischuk can take back with the rook, but knight takes looks quite tempting, yeah? Hitting that queen on c3. 0% chance Aravindh blunders that one and pulls the queen back to e1. All the way back. You know, that's a bit surprising move, but maybe does he want to play f3?
This is a big retreat move. Quite a surprising move for me. Yeah, it looks like the queen is now in a passive position. This knight on d5, though, centralized, a beautiful piece combining with this bishop. I have black in high regard coming in to this later stage of the game.
Feels like maybe black's position is a touch easier to play. Of course, the players, folks, have no idea what the eval is. They're only seeing the board. They're not seeing the eval bar go up and down with each move. They're not seeing the accuracy, none of that. They have to play with the pieces. And there we go. We finally see the first mate threat of the match, queen g5, attacking that pawn on g2. I'm expecting bishop f1.
Also a 0% chance of missing that one.
Oh, yeah, Aravindh. Beyond zero. The show will be over. If he ended out, we're leaving the stage immediately. Grischuk, he's like, okay, that didn't work. But now his position looks good, but how does he improve? Maybe he pushes the H pawn again. Maybe he looks for a better square. Okay, knight to f6, opening up that rook on the d file.
And surprisingly, despite black's activity and, you know, a lot of white's pieces being on the bottom rank here, objectively, this is an equal position, says the engine, which is very interesting.
Yeah,
Would
well,
you
now
be surprised by that evaluation?
You know, actually not so much, because white actually has this very simple plan that I think he's looking for. Well, actually, so he has this move f3, but bishop can take this pawn. So Compy sees, you know, f3, bishop takes. He's going to have a pawn to h4. Attacking that queen. So that's a tough move. The
queen goes to g4, knight e5, winning that bishop.
Yeah, it's a tough move to find. Very, very tough.
A very subtle move with deep tactical
Yeah, I think more expected is just maybe just bringing the rook to the d file. To me, this looks like the human move, challenging black's rook on the d file. But Aravindh, he's a tactical fiend. He might find this f3 push.
And he's going below 4 minutes. I think he's maybe thinking about it here. Of course. Oh, he plays
it. What a move.
Oh, cold.
What a move. Wow.
Wow. So he's sacrificing a pawn, but it's a fake sacrifice, a sham sacrifice, if you will, because if the bishop takes in a few moves, Aravindh wins the game basically by winning a full piece.
Wow. Grischuk, no way he's going to take this one. He senses the chess players are very smart. If the opponent hanks a pawn or blunders something, they don't just take it without thinking. They think, what is the opponent's idea? What does he have in mind? Yes. Grischuk spots the trap, drops the bishop back. Very strong find here by
h4, taking the queen, and now we see the reason for the queen on e1. It was supporting the h4 square for pawn to h4, now kicking the queen to h6.
Exactly, and maybe we'll see the e-pawn move up as well, pawn to e4. You know, once you've played f3, once you say A, it's time to say B. e4 makes a lot of sense to challenge that bishop on d5.
That bishop has been strong for too long, and what better way to kick it out than with a very strong pawn structure move.
But you know, I'm not sure. If he goes e4 right now, black takes this knight on c4, white recaptures with the bishop, and then black's rook can come in to the second rank, supported by that queen. So maybe e4 is not the most solid move here.
And he sees that and plays rook d1, exactly.
Rook to d1. Aravindh sees everything.
With e4, yeah.
Look at this. Both players at 98.5% accuracy. Very, very high level of game. It's not easy to play good chess, period. But to play it with minutes on your clock, even harder, as we are now
such
going
a
into
consistent basis.
Yeah,
is very telling to how well prepared these two opponents are. And now Aravindh has this very nice threat, pawn to e4, going about this pinned bishop on the d file, threatening to win a full piece. And Grischuk is seeing how he can deal with that. He can move the rook up a square to d7, where it would be defended by the knight.
Yeah, he can also shift the rook over to e8, even in response to e4.
He goes
yes.
queen f8.
Okay, he plays queen f8, defends the rook.
Now he can move the bishop. So if it's attacked with the pawn to e4, then the bishop can move suddenly.
Oh, but e4 now I think would be major blunder, because bishop takes knight, and then queen can come into c5 with check. But there is also that rook hanging on d8. Aravindh wants none of that. He brings his queen into c3.
Solidifying that knight on c4.
Yes, and attacking the knight on f6. And now I think pieces are going to start flying. Now as both players have to play much faster. They're not getting any extra time on the clock. They're in a classic 3-minute blitz game here.
We've talked about this. When it goes below 3 minutes for each, I would say Alexander Grischuk is a minor favorite here. Of course, Aravindh has those mouse skills, but Grischuk has all the experience in the world and knows how to deal with this time pressure.
Yeah, he's basically in the zone. We can see both players. Like, I love looking at their eye movements, just how quickly their eyes scan the board. They see all these different ideas, all these tactics. There's e4 attacking the bishop on d5. And now a choice, to trade or not to trade. Grischuk's a classical player. I don't think he likes giving up his bishop, but he might do it if he thinks that it's a good trade for him.
I think he's going to retreat his bishop here, as we see Aravindh, who is absolutely locked in, calculating at all times on his turn, on his opponent's turn. And we have some trades.
We have
bishop
some trades.
Against knight endgame. With the
trading the rook, queen comes in. Now 2 minutes for Grischuk. He's a little bit lower on the clock. He's going to have to speed it up here if he wants to avoid flagging in this game. This game might just come down to a flag fest. You know, it's very equal, but the game's not just going to end just because it's equal. They're just going to keep playing until someone runs out of time.
And pawn to e5 here. Whoa, I like the white pieces a lot suddenly. And now knight to f8, just securing that e6 square, preventing all damage.
Very solid. Very solid from both players. Neither of them has made even an inaccuracy in the game yet. They're both showing their absolute best level right now. But yeah, it's all going to come down. Basically, we're entering the bullet zone here. And okay, Grischuk, his heart rate is now rising. It's nearly 120 beats per minute. It's, you know, it's getting into warm-up levels. That's when my Fitbit tells me that, you know, I've started the workout, you know, when I get to 120. Queen to e3 now. He's really supporting that e-pawn, is Aravindh.
Yeah, this endgame is really going to go down to time, in my opinion. I think this time scramble is going to to amplify quicker and quicker moves. And yeah, as we're seeing right now, they're playing so quickly.
I think both players speed it up. We're going to start seeing some pre-moves soon, which basically take almost as little time at the clock as possible. I think 0.1 seconds, right, for a pre-move.
Absolutely.
So in the right hands, a fast player can make 100 pre-moves in the end game. Just 10 seconds on the clock. There's Queen D4, nice centralization. 96, Grischuk is offering the trade to Aravindh. Will he take this knight? Knight's famously very tricky in scrambles. I think that was a practical decision. Just get rid of that knight. But now black is totally fine. No issues here. White is also fine. And I think this is just going to come down to mouse skills here at this point.
Queen endgame with 1 minute on the clock, each completely equal. But maybe not. This is not what Grischuk wanted as the black pieces with maybe the slower mouse out of the two players.
Exactly. He's not super confident in his mouse skills compared to some of these younger guys, but he's going to have to speed it up here. And, okay, just moving the king back and forth. I like his strategy here.
Oh, we have a repetition potential?
Yeah, they're repeating. Yeah, does Aravindh want to play on?
If the position repeats 3 times consecutively or not consecutively, it is an automatic draw by repetition. And he declines the repetition, plays G3.
Aravindh
says,
going for it.
Look, I have some space here. I'm just going to squeeze.
But he's 10 seconds behind. So it's a bit of a risk from Aravindh here. He's really risking it. Now check on Grischuk can take this a-pawn. Aravindh shaking his head. He's not happy with what's happened.
Oh my God. The pawn is down.
Takes the pawn. Now he's pawn up. Will Grischuk play for the win? Or will he secure the draw with the black pieces? He's playing. He's playing. He's trying to win.
He's up a pawn. He's going to try to secure this victory. Oh my God.
Queen B6.
We have the first true mistake of the game. Queen D5 blunder.
Grischuk misses it. It was queen to B3 entering white's position. But this, I think, keeps black's edge. He can take on B4. Now he has what we call an outside pass pawn. Basically, on the board, black is never losing this. But on the clock, it's still very, very risky.
They're now down to 30 seconds each. This is extremely exciting. E6 only moves to equalize.
Oh, that's clutch. Okay, I think we might see a repetition now. Let's check, check. If black takes this pawn, then white gets a bunch of checks. And he takes this one.
Pawn. Queen C8. No.
Wait.
No.
What?
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 Mouse
a mouse slip.
Oh,
Queen C8.
no.
He gives the queen in one move. Oh, no, Aravindh.
What just happened?
No.
What just happened? No.
What a way to go out.
Oh, and Aravind's shaking.
And he gives the lead to Grischuk.
Oh,
how
no.
painful.
Oh, my God.
That is not the way you want to lose your first game in the EWC.
That was just a freak accident, but that's what happens.
Look at Grischuk. He's so relieved.
Relieved, but at the same time, you never want to win like this as a chess player. You feel a bit dirty inside. Like this wasn't, game should have been a draw. Oh, huge mouse slip. For absolute nightmare for one of the players.
It was a calm game. Oh, we're already in game 2. Here we go.
Yeah, but we got to talk about what Aravindh is feeling right now after such a moment.
He has to mentally reset as soon and as quickly as possible and win this game now on demand with the black pieces. This is a tough challenge.
Very, very tough, especially just how that game ended. Amazingly, his heart rate is down to a cool 94 beats per minute. So, he's a pro, right? He's blundered before. He's mouse slipped before. This is not his first mistake, but it's such a cruel mistake at the highest stage. Honestly, I feel like you can see the pain on his face. He's thinking about that moment. Queen C8, Queen C8. Why did I do that? And, it's surprising we saw the younger player, the one that loses touch with the mouse, Grischuk, managing to stay calm under pressure. Perhaps that's some of that experience.
Yeah, we've been talking about Grischuk's mouse skills, but how about Aravindh's? He blundered a queen.
Unbelievable.
So
unbelievable.
Shocking.
And it wasn't a typical mouse slip either. Normally you see a player stop one square before their destination. This one, he just moved off to the side, total accident. And yeah, look at him. He's really trying to dig deep. He's already down 2 minutes on the clock here. He's really trying to figure out how to play. Actually, it might be Grischuk that's 2 minutes down on the clock. I think it's the white pieces here that are down on the clock as he's figuring out how to play this position.
Yes, Grischuk is to the right playing the white pieces and Aravindh to the left playing the black pieces. We have here the opening called the French defense, and black has opened up on this diagonal, and now we have two bishops looking at each other, and they have traded off. knight takes.
Yeah, it's a very solid position here for Grischuk. He has a classic small advantage. The French defense, of course, very, very solid opening, but white typically gets a bit more space and a small edge going into the middle game. But look at this. He's almost 3 minutes down. This wrapping him, it's like 30% of his time. I mean, that's quite a bit. So he is giving Aravindh, a bit of a chance to come back and strike back in this match.
Yeah, it's a little bit, what is going on in the Aravindh camp. He blunders a queen, and now he's down 4 minutes on the clock, 4 entire minutes. This will not be good.
Well, no, it's Grischuk that's down. Grischuk is the one that's down on the clock. So yeah, it's the white. It's the white pieces, yeah. And okay, just plays knight to d4. I think he's taking extra time to just figure out like how to play this position, make sure that he is solid. There he puts the knight in the center. He just needs a draw in this game to advance. It's very, very important. Normally with white, you control the game. It's easier to keep things solid. But yeah, of course, it's all going to come down once again to this no increment time control. So we'll see if Grischuk can keep it under control.
And by choosing the French defense, Aravindh says no, clear no to any opening draws.
Yeah, the French is a kind of a fighting opening these days because it's not one of the more popular, main lines, e4, e5, king pawn opening, Sicilian. French typically indicates that black is kind of looking for a fight, but Grischuk, I honestly got to say, I feel his position is very comfortable. He puts the bishop on d3, and it's lining up against black's king, and knight to e4 from Aravindh. He's saying, go ahead and trade this knight, but if you do, my pawn will advance. I increase the scope of my queen and bishop. Grischuk says, no, thank you. I'm rerouting. Grischuk's such a classical player. Everything he does by the book. He reroutes the knight. Next, he's going to move his queen off of the center square, bring his knight there instead. And if he gets that, then his position's very, very solid. It's going to be very tough for Aravindh to actually win.
Yeah, white here has a space advantage, which gives him a small advantage coming into this late stage of the middle game here as pieces start to come off. But he declines this exchange here. And now pawn to f5, solidifying that knight on e4.
Ooh, Zach, are we going to see our first en passant?
It is forced, they say.
Tournament. It is forced. So I don't know why Grischuk's thinking.
Of course, we are kidding. It is not forced in chess. It is just a meme.
But he is thinking about it. And will he take... I think he's going to ignore this one. I think he's going to forgo the chance, just play around this knight on e4. And there we go. We see the queen pulling back. His knight is ready to come into d4. And now will Aravindh throw this d-pawn just as a sacrifice? Open up that diagonal.
That would be such an interesting try. By playing pawn to d4, sacrificing a pawn, he would be unveiling the battery of queen and bishop along that long white light square diagonal. That would be very interesting to see.
Yeah, it might be a choice. I mean, if black doesn't do anything here, then he's just worse. It's going to be very difficult for him to actually create winning chances. This is the difficulty in chess. When you're playing with the black pieces, normally you're satisfied with the draw. You're the one that's going second. White has the first move advantage. But now, given the match situation, Aravindh has to play for a win here at all costs. A draw is the same as a loss for him in this case. So he has to mix it up at some point, even if it means taking risk, even if it means getting a losing position, just to create some imbalance on the board. Okay.
And we have this knight jumping to d4 in a blockading position, which is absolutely killing this bishop on b7 from entering into the game, from opening up on that long diagonal. What a strategic move from Alexander Grischuk.
Yeah, basically he's just playing perfect classical chess right now. He's got a small edge. Maybe, what does white do now? I think he's still got to do something with his rook on a1. Maybe he pushes a4, pushing the a pawn just to try to target black's queen side. Or he might shift his king over to h1, start playing on the king side. So he has a choice here, play on the king side or on the queen side.
Yeah, we might see a longer turn here by Grischuk because he's mapping out those plans in this middle game, how to outplay his opponent. So we're seeing some very locked-in thinking. Grischuk is someone who's not moving that much on his chair. He has the same posture the entire game, and he's just only his eyes are moving.
Yeah, very hard to read him. Grischuk also for the fans at home, is also basically professional poker player. He's played quite a bit of poker
I
in his
didn't know
life.
that.
So we can see his poker face, right? It's very hard to tell if he's winning, losing, worse. Does he like his position? Does he hate his position? And there we go. Arvind
Punt to
strikes.
G5.
G5.
This is Arvind telling Grischuk, look, I do not want to settle for average. I am here for a killing spree.
Honestly love this from Arvind. I feel like this is exactly how black should be playing in the position. This knight on e4 is actually a monster piece. If white ever takes the knight, then black's pawns start to advance. The bishop opens up. And now black's plan is to start playing on the g file. I would expect a move like king to h8 here, right? Sliding the king
Readying
over.
up that rook to g8, sliding down the g file because black controls the tension on that f4 g5 pawn duel there that we see. Basically, white doesn't really want to take here, and black absolutely does, but will take at the right moment.
And there we go. The king shifts over. It's going to be safe on that h file, opening up the g file for black's heavy pieces now to come in and start putting pressure on white. Honestly, not loving Grischuk's time here. He's under 4 minutes now, down 2 minutes on the clock. If the game just keeps going and keeps going, then he's going to get into time trouble way before Arvind is, and that's going to be a problem. So he really has to speed it up here.
Not loving Grischuk's time, not loving Grischuk's position, although we have restored objective equality
Oh, just
here.
saw that. He just scowled. He made a face.
Oh, he
made a
doesn't
big
like his
face.
position,
He
you
doesn't
think?
like his position either. And he knows he's down on time, and I mean, black has an equal counterplay here. So this is tough. This is very, very tough.
We might be seeing a situation in which Arvind just presses Grischuk to the core and forces an Armageddon.
Yeah. And if he wins this one, we go to Armageddon. We'll explain how that works once we get there, but players will bid for who will accept less time on the clock in exchange for those very valuable draw
And we have the
odds.
first mistake of the game, knight to f3, giving black some activity here, and he finds it, he trades. And now black have opened up the g-file. Very exciting stuff. Black has a fully fledged attack going on here.
Black is starting to look good here. Now he might triple stack on the g file. Just start lifting those rooks up. Rook to g6, queen to g7, rook to g8, and then good luck defending g2. Now at any moment, we mentioned this pawn push, d5, d4. Arvind could just throw this pawn in, open up the bishop on the long diagonal. I think he's going to wait for the right moment to do so.
Oh, and he
there's
starts
rook
to stack.
g7.
He's going rook g7, as you mentioned. Great prediction.
Rook to g1. Grischuk is anticipating this. He's starting to pick up the pace a little bit. Still has 3 minutes, so it's plenty of time to make moves here. But again, if Arvind just kind of keeps squeezing, then
Eventually, Grischuk will fall into time pressure.
Oh, yeah.
And Arvind is sitting comfortably with 5 minutes and a half, almost twice as much time as Alexander Grischuk right now.
basically dream situation here for Aravindh, who has to win on demand with the black pieces, needs to stay calm. He's right at 100 beats per minute. Grischuk already elevating his heart rate a little bit as he feels the pressure. Now he's taking his time again. I think rook to e2 here maybe, right? Just bring your rook up, overprotect g2. It's not easy. It's not easy.
We were talking about that mental reset needed for this game right after that crucial blunder in game one by Aravindh, and he's
recovered brilliantly.
He's recovered brilliantly.
Yeah, he's not
he's
playing
right back in it.
like someone who just hung his queen
In one move.
one
That would affect me for 5 business days.
I mean, I would be thinking about it for years. At such an event.
I'd be crying in my room just
But no, he plays on. And, this is one of the biggest skills that chess players have to cultivate because no one plays perfectly. You are going to make mistakes. You're going to make huge mistakes. You're going to look dumb. You're going to make really dumb mistakes in a game that you've been playing your entire life. And then you just have to simply forget about it. Keep going. Keep your confidence up. Confidence is so important in chess to keep playing. And now Arvind, he's bopping a little bit. He's feeling it. He's in his chair. He's more than twice up on the clock. Bishop drops back to c8. Interesting move there. I think maybe going to be repositioning that bishop to a better diagonal.
Oh, there's a really strong idea here for Aravindh. In this position, he can move his b pawn to b4 and strike on the queen side. A deserted queen side. He plays it. How strong are these players?
Very surprising, actually, because black was only playing on the king side. All of a sudden, he has a chance on the queen side, and he spots it. That's how good Aravindh is. And Grischuk is a bit taken aback. He was ready to defend the king side. He, I think, didn't anticipate this move. And now if he takes, black's queen simply comes in and attacks the knight on d4, attacks the b pawn. I don't think he can take this one. I think he just has to let this pawn sit. Maybe he's going to push a4 to try and push past.
Blockading.
Yep.
I was going to say Aravindh is pulling a Las Vegas here, building a city in a desert on the chessboard. And a4 replied just saying, I don't want none of that. I do not want to take and activate your queen. And now that's created maybe a weakness on a4. Bishop attacks it. I'm expecting pawn to b3 to defend that pawn.
Yeah, but that's not a move white wants to play because that gives up the c3 square to black's pieces. But Grischuk doesn't have a lot of great options here, and he especially can't keep thinking, a few seconds on each move. He's simply going to flag before the game ends.
Big concession here on the clock and on that c3 square, where this knight and pawn collaborate to really fix that pawn structure, and might I say this weak c2 pawn now.
Yeah, no, this is a huge chance for Aravindh. Grischuk shaking his head. He knows he's worse on the board. He's way worse on the clock. I mean, it's nearly a hopeless situation on the clock against someone as fast as Aravindh. Grischuk really needs to pick up the pace here.
And Aravindh has a position you can play in your sleep. He has eternal pressure on this king side. He's mastered this queen side with this minority attack of pawns just rushing down the board and now fixing 3 pawns to his 2. And he has this c file to potentially play with.
He's got the c file, he's got the g file, and he has so many just like simple moves. a6 to a5, bishop back to c8. He really has nothing to prove in this position. You just keep forcing Grischuk to make a move. Spend a second here, spend a second there. Eventually he's going down to 10 seconds. You can't pre-move in such a position because there's so many pieces on the board. You don't know what Arvind's going to play. You can't just make a move at random here. You have to think on
and
each
we
turn.
have the triple stack as you predicted earlier on. This is a triple stack, or called the Alekhine's gun, named after 4th world chess champion Alexander Alekhine. The queen and 2 rooks stack up on this G file to put extreme amounts of pressure around this white king. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a very, very unpleasant situation here for white. I mean, the problem for him is that he just doesn't have counterplay, right? Just has to move back and forth, defend everything in his position. His position might be holdable from an objective standpoint. Like if he just played all the best moves, it would be very hard for black to win. The issue is he just can't do it when the clock is slowly dripping and running out.
I really love this last move by Aravindh, putting his knight strategically on g5, removing it from the center of the board, but he's attacking the defender of this weakness on g2, the bishop on f3.
And Zach, check this out. I think he's threatening to play knight takes pawn. Because if you take back, your rook on g1 hangs, and if you take with the king,
and now black is suddenly winning. Look at that eval bar shooting down in favor of the black pieces.
So rook f1, he gets out of the way. I think a very human move to get out of that g file. He saw this knight takes h3 threat. This is the only way he could see to defend it. And now at least he doesn't make it easy for Aravindh. But Aravindh here is just going to keep improving his position. a5. Fantastic move.
Wow, absolute class.
So unpleasant. Now Grischuk spends a few more seconds here, right? Trying to figure out how to keep the position stable. Maybe rook 1 up to f2. No, he just slides it over to e1.
I think Aravindh is going to play the theme of the worst placed piece. His worst piece is on d7. That bishop has not seen the light of day so far in this game, and maybe he might reposition it back to c8, going on to a6, and finding that very nice diagonal.
Okay, queen to h6, lining up the queen against white's king. Grischuk just moving back and forth here. Really doesn't have a lot to do. Just needs to try and avoid
40 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, this is bad. This is bad. But okay, Aravindh now under 2 minutes. There's bishop c8, improving that bishop. Looking for bishop a6. I think he might just continue with that here. Why not?
Bishop
attacking
a6
the rook.
Would come with a tempo attacking the rook and force it down.
Steady. Reignites the triple on the g file. It feels like Arvind's a bit unsure. Like he doesn't know exactly how he wants to break through, but doesn't really need to now, does he?
Yeah, I think it's a great strategy. He's shuffling pieces because the clock situation is totally in his favor.
Yeah.
He's fine with, oh my God, we
Knight
have
b5.
a huge mistake on the board. Knight b5, knight e4 takes, and now black is suddenly completely crushing the bishop on f3. The defender of that g2 pawn is completely gone, and now we have eternal pressure. But the game is back to near equal.
Yeah, I mean, the players are both speeding up here. There's going to be lots of misses. You know, they don't have the computer engine by their side, you know, telling them what to play. At this point, it's all instinct. And Grischuk is completely back in the game.
Wow.
It's really just
what a
matter of the clock. Can he speed it up and avoid flagging.
He has been worse or losing since outside the opening.
Yeah,
For him to
honestly,
make a full comeback is so impressive.
incredible defense by Grischuk. Just with low time, he's able to hold the position.
And
now this B
White has
pawn,
a small advantage.
this B pawn is advancing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but at this point, it's just
Unsung hero.
it's just all about the clock
Pawn
here,
to B7.
and we got to see some pre-moves here. Otherwise,
Grischuk has his back against the wall. 18 seconds left on his clock. There is no
time to
increment.
trade.
Oh
And
my
it's time
god, the
to start
pre-moves are
flipping it
starting.
out.
Oh
That's
my
it.
goodness.
And Aravindh, he's going into full flag mode. Can Grischuk find some kind of repetition? No,
He finds a
king to
repetition. He
G6.
can draw and win the game instantly.
Yeah,
This
he's-
would be super important for the white pieces. All the white pieces need is a draw to win this match and take it home.
And look, he's threatening a repetition on the 7th rank. This is critical for Aravindh to find a way out here. Otherwise, 10 seconds is more than enough time to pre-move rook to G7 back and forth. And wait, is there a draw? No, king G6,
He's forcing a draw, but the king goes to H6.
king H4,
And
G5.
now white has made on the board.
Oh, he's winning.
He's winning a rook.
But he has no time. He needs to move.
He has 1 second to find mate
Oh
in
no,
4.
and he's
Rook
flagged.
B6.
He's flagged.
No!
Oh no. Aravindh wins on
Crushing
time.
comeback win on the clock for Aravindh. Down 2 rooks, but up 2 pawns, which is enough to win when you flag your opponent to 0 seconds.
Unbelievable.
Insanity.
This is that dirty play we were talking about. That's just necessary in this format. And now both players here are about to bid for the Armageddon. Oh, this must be really has to recover.
And we are almost underway. Here we go.
And there we go. We do see Grischuk
Armageddon.
winning the bid. He bid 7 minutes in order to get the black pieces and try to hold. And a repeat of the opening from game 1.
So this is the concept. The black pieces have less time, but if they draw, they win the match. So it's a little bit on edge. You have less time for quality moves, but you have 2 results that can win you the entire match.
Yeah, and now Grischuk, we can just feel his pace for this game. He's like, you're not flagging me again. Now he is starting with 2.5 less minutes, but his position is fine, and Aravindh is just in an, once again, absolute must-win situation.
Aravindh has incentive to push his opponent's buttons as much as possible, and
there
we
we
see
go.
that with castles long.
Queenside Castle.
We've learned this from game 1.
He learned from
castles
game
long
1,
this
right?
one.
He played it solid in game 1. He didn't win. This game, he knows. You got to go for it.
So what does this mean when 2 kings are castled opposite sides?
Well, it means that the game is going to be very sharp. Both sides going to be attacking. You can now just fling your pawns up the board. So from black, maybe we'll see the B pawn moving up immediately. B7, B5, A7, A5. There we go. There's the B pawn.
This reminds me of Capture the Flag when I was young. The opposite team has a flag, and you just have to go and hunt it down. And that's what's happening with each of the kings on the board.
Yeah, and basically it's a race. It's a race to the enemy king. You know, you give either side a couple moves here. They're throwing their pawns down the board. They're going to start attacking. I'm expecting this H pawn to move up from Aravindh, but whoever gets to the other king first usually has the dynamic advantage in the initiative. And there we see E4 breaking in the center is Aravindh. Grischuk responds with this counter against the knight to push it away from C3. Love this move from black. And now Grischuk has to decide how to deal with this tension in the center.
Wow, this is a very interesting game because you know black is trying to put some pressure on the white king immediately with that pawn storm and maybe sliding in his queen on A5. But Aravindh, we thought was gonna attack, but has not started any attack so far. It's favored to the black pieces so far in the game.
Yeah, computer likes black here, but for this position so complicated, I think we're going to see the advantage, maybe even swing between both players. It's so difficult to play this position with any kind of real accuracy. So, and of course, you know, it is basically a blitz game at this point. So both players just have to kind of play with their instincts.
Yeah, this queen to B6. The queen is supporting this pawn here. Maybe going to go with A5, A4, and there we go. Aravindh's first true attacking move, I feel, pawn to H4, and well, we have some trades in the center.
Yeah, Grischuk responds in the center. This is the classical approach we've been talking about. When your opponent attacks on the flank, you strike back in the center. This has been known for over 100 years. It goes back to some of the first geniuses in chess. Shout out to Sigbert Tarash, our boy.
Shout out.
There's knight f6 attacking that bishop on E4. Now, Aravindh gonna move this bishop. I'm expecting back to F3. F3, but maybe he
F3
goes
supporting
to,
that H5 push?
yeah, but maybe he goes to D3. He's definitely thinking about it here, so it's not an obvious decision for him. He's kept his lead on the clock, roughly 2.5 minutes for Aravindh, but Grischuk, I would say, much faster in this game.
Yeah, but Aravindh has that long-term advantage. If they go into a deep endgame, then Grischuk risks to have seconds on his clock.
There's H5, like this move from black, shutting down white's attack. Bishop to E5. Computer doesn't like this, but this is actually a very thematic move in the
I like
position.
this bishop move. It's centralizing the bishop. Don't believe everything the computer is saying. I'm kidding, obviously. Objectively, black is doing very well here, but the centralization of this bishop is quite a nice move.
No, I think you are onto something there, Zach. I mean, the computer, of course, is the greatest player, but it doesn't understand the dynamics. You know, when you're playing against a human, what's unpleasant for the opponent? What moves might induce a mistake, right? So this bishop in the center for Aravindh, the point is that whenever black moves the knight away from the f6 square, white will be able to trade off black's main defending piece on g7, and that's what makes it easier for white to attack in the future. But Grischuk just ignores it. He's like, okay, you can take my knight if you want. Take my knight if you want, but I'm going to take your bishop. Yeah,
it's a feast.
Please, it's right there. An a5, love this move. We're going to see the bishop maybe coming out to a6, as Aravindh showed in the previous game, how to activate this piece. Black's position looks great. His pawns are moving, and white has to figure out how is he actually going to break through on the king side.
It's not so obvious to see a breakthrough for the white pieces on this king side, whereas black just shuffles down the pawns and just opens up the king, and suddenly white's going to be in trouble.
How about a4? Let's go.
A4, B3, classic. Open up the king. Force trades.
Yeah, because what is white doing? I mean, he needs to break with a move like g4, right?
You need to attack with pawns to open up that king.
Exactly. Got to open it up with pawns, but black is covering the g4 square. So Aravindh a bit stuck here. He's got to figure out how to play this position. And you can see he's leaning back. Look, his heart rate is higher than Grischuk's. I think
wow,
for the
that's first time in the game that I've seen that.
In the match. So he's feeling the pressure, but he's locking in. I think Aravindh is very good at noticing when he's feeling pressure and then getting into the zone. And look at that. Both of their heart rates already starting to drop as the players settling in.
Aravindh is starting to catch up on the clock to Grischuk. Now they have 1 minute.
Yeah, a bit of a head shake there from Aravindh. As he knows his position is not that great, and now he's not even that much ahead on the clock. 5 minutes for Grischuk. It's plenty of time still. And I mean, what does black want? He just wants to push his pawns forward and start opening up white's king.
Is this the tale of the match, though? I feel like Grischuk has shown the most class throughout the 3 games overall.
It seems like maybe he's played a touch better. Of course, Aravindh did dominate the second game up until the time scramble, where
that's true.
Maybe he messed up the strategy. You know, maybe he should have been just trying to win on the board instead of only on the clock, as it ended up happening. But yeah, now Aravindh's about to equalize.
Equalize on the time, and Grischuk wins on a draw or a win. He's super happy about this match situation right now.
He's got to be happy here. Yeah, very, very comfortable spot here for Grischuk. Queen to e3, played by Aravindh. I think just supporting that third rank. But now black has a lot of options here. He can bring his bishop out to f5. I think that move looks good, just developing. The light squared bishop. There we go.
Beautiful. And now this bishop lasers against this white king, targeting this c2 pawn that is covering this white king. Ooh, I love the black pieces here.
Yeah.
Ideal scenario for Grischuk in this must win or draw game.
Right now, it's kind of just one-way traffic. Like black is attacking, and white hasn't made any progress on the king side since he pushed h4. He's just been completely shut down. And I think this is Grischuk's edge. You know, I feel like his understanding is just a little bit better than Aravindh. Aravindh maybe a little bit better on the tactical side. So once the game opens up, though, that's where Aravindh, he's going to find his chances.
So far, it's a very dark tunnel with no light at the end of it right now. How does white recuperate this position? And
there we
have
go.
A trade here. Maybe he's answering my question.
This is a bit of a desperation, but he has to try something. I think he wants to break with g4 here at some point. And now Grischuk takes with the pawn.
Oh my God, we're seeing a huge
bishop e4 doesn't allow
evaluation
rook
change.
e8 with
-4 on the eval.
Engine's loving this for black. I think rook e8, you pin this bishop
to the queen and then pawn to f3. But
what a classy move by Grischuk. Pawn takes on f6. all of us would just take with the bishop to just keep that diagonal open. He takes with the pawn to keep his king safe. Now he can push f5
I love
at
that
any
F5
moment
move.
and just open it up.
B3, finally opening up
B3.
this white king's castle. Wow. How is white supposed to react to such a question? It is such a strong move.
Normally
And he
you
plays pawn to
try
A3.
to push past a3, or you take once and push past, but the lines are opening up here. f5 is coming.
I love this pawn move, f5, opening up that dark squared bishop along the long diagonal.
And again, we see bishop versus knight, the classic imbalance. But yeah, looking great for black right now. He's equal on the clock. His position is great. He's attacking. It's like just football, just having the initiative. Grischuk is the only one taking shots at the goal. Aravindh just completely defending. Was that a good analogy?
It's
You're
a
the
classic
soccer player.
Spain-Argentina final we're seeing right now. Absolutely. And the bishop takes this pawn, and now black is up a full pawn in this position. Even though Engine says it's much more than a pawn up, black is completely crushing.
I mean, the bishop on d4 is super strong. He can advance his c pawn to solidify that bishop in the center of the board. I think that's a move we're definitely going to see soon. Then the rooks come in. Just rook a b8, very simple, very annoying threat, attacking this b pawn that's on an open file. And look at white's play on the king side. No open files. Nothing
I thought white
at
had
all.
a small tactic. Knight takes pawn on g6, pawn takes knight, and then queen c4 check, winning back that piece sacrifice.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe knight
for it.
takes g6. Maybe black had some response there.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Rook to a5, just ignoring that sacrifice, and it was completely winning with that double attack.
Wow. Rook a5 is a nice move.
Yeah, rook a5 is a great idea right now in this position. Speaking of which, the rook, once on a5, can do what we call a rook lift and can perform an attacking motion on the king with a pin threat on the queen and king.
That's so weird. Rook a5 would be such a crazy find. I'm expecting a rook to b8 here, maybe pawn to c5, just like secure the bishop.
Rook f to b8, there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's keeping his rook on a8, so maybe he has some ideas of rook a5.
Yeah, because now, Aravindh showed the triple stack in the last game, so now that might be on his mind. Grischuk maybe wants to give Aravindh a little taste of his medicine. Rook a5,
rook a5, rook b5.
And then how do you defend b2? Very, very difficult. Knight will have to drop back. Then the c pawn starts running up the board. Hit rook to d1, c5. There we go.
There.
Cementing the bishop.
The bishop is immortal on d4. Ooh, the knight jumps to d5, centralizing and attacking this queen.
Attacking the queen.
Do not play queen c6, please.
Yeah, queen c6 would lose our lunch. There it is, queen b7.
Attacking this knight. Where is this knight going to move? A knight can be centralized, can be strong, but if it's not solidified in its square, it can be flimsy and thus has to move very fast.
And keep in mind, black only needs a draw in this position. He's completely winning on the board.
Wow, let's talk about that. Grischuk is a massive favorite to win this match.
Right now, it's basically been all Grischuk in this game. Queen t7. He could have taken the knight, but he doesn't want to. His bishop is just such a strong piece. And look at this queen, maybe sliding over to f6.
Oh, he takes a second pawn.
Grabs another pawn. Yummy, yummy. Yeah, lunchtime coming up soon. He's okay. Now he's 2 pawns up. Now he's 2 pawns up. But you know what, Zach? He still has to win the game, right? He can't just keep playing and because Aravindh's going to speed it up, and we saw what happened in the last game, right? You don't want to get into a time scramble with Aravindh.
That's a fantastic point. Grischuk has incentive to wrap this up right now. Close the game out before time tells the tale of last game.
Rook b3, love this move, bringing the rook down to that outposted b3 square where it's defended by the pawn. Now he allows the second rook to join on the b file. But, I actually really like how Aravindh has defended this. He got his knight to c4, which is basically the best square for the knight in this position. It's untouchable. None of the black pieces can challenge the knight. He's defending his main weakness on b2. And Engine says black is completely winning, but it's really not that straightforward to break through.
And we're not seeing it either in his body language that he's very angry at himself or he has emotion. No, he's completely locked in despite basically virtually getting crushed in this position.
Yeah, although as you said that, I just noticed he's a bit of a head shake, a bit of a sigh. Yeah. And look, Aravindh now down almost 50 seconds on the clock. He's not happy with the position at all, but still, Grischuk is going to have to show some absolute focus here to
how about that bishop on d4? So strong, pinpointing on that b2 pawn, putting some eternal pressure on the white position, and just can't be told what to do.
Now, you know, it'd be interesting. I don't think this is going to happen because I think as chess players, they want to win on the board. But like if Grischuk just like puts his queen on f6, just goes king g7, king g8, king g7. I mean, white can't move. Like white has no play.
I love the utopia you're drawing up. Why don't we just put all our pieces on the perfect squares? Because black has that time in this position to do so.
Yes, and the draw odds. He doesn't have to win the game. He just needs to not lose. But whenever you play not to lose, that's generally a bad strategy. You know,
if this was a must-win for Grischuk, like maybe that would have been more in his interest.
Yeah. So queen f6. Okay, there. Black's pieces are perfectly placed. Everything is hitting b2. Now maybe he starts to run the h-pawn a little bit, start to play on the king side. It's really up to white to show, like, how is he going to do anything here? Arvind's the one that has to win the game.
Black is up 2 pawns, but other than that, there is no clear striking win here. Which, oh, maybe there is now.
There's g4. Okay, there's Arvind lashing out. He realized like he just can't sit back and wait. He's the one that's going to flag. But objectively, any drama like this is always good for black. He can take this pawn. He can push past with f4. He can do a lot of things. You know, he can take on
also
b2.
Trade everything on b2 and just have a winning endgame.
He can take on b2 and win white's queen. And there he goes. Actually, this is very practical from Grischuk.
Very, very nice play.
As the queens come off, black can just give a perpetual with the queen. Right,
oh,
queen
wow.
is going to have so
Secure
many checks.
The victory easily.
No, I think it's actually it's
just
totally over.
It's just game over.
I mean, just from a match point of view. I mean, he's winning completely on the board, but just from a match point of view, this is almost resignable for white.
And there you go, queen against 2 rooks, but Grischuk has a massive 4 pawns.
I mean, basically short of a mouse slip, like we saw in the first game. There's no way for black to lose this. Truly, I mean, you can't even set up a mate against the king. The king
and Grischuk is doing well on the clock too. It is completely overlooking.
And yeah, I think he's just going to offer a repetition here because
he can.
Because he can. I mean, there's nothing. There's nothing he needs from this position. He doesn't have to win. He can just keep giving checks, and
there we go.
And that's it. Oh, he won by checkmate.
He won by wow.
He won by mates, and
so
that's
we got a queen mouse slip. We got a checkmate, and we got a dirty flag.
Oh my god!
What a match!
Look at that set.
Grischuk making it to the winners bracket. Congratulations.
We see the handshake
will go
there.
to the lower bracket.